What an interesting morning. Very interesting morning. I kicked it off by reading this article at creation.com, which is the website of Creation Ministries International. And their article of the day is Why CMI Rejects Conspiracy Theorizing. And of course, really what they're talking about is flat Earth. This is a flat Earth refutation attempt by yet another creation ministry organization. And they've written several of these articles. It's not the first, but reading this article today, and then an hour or two later, watching the NASA live feed of their press conference talking about ocean worlds and the whole prospect of, is there conditions suitable for life on these ocean worlds, which is Enceladus and Europa, or the moons of Saturn and Jupiter. And fascinating stuff. Fascinating contrast. And I don't know how else to put it, but it's just watching folks back themselves into a corner continually. And of course, it's this lengthy article with all of the typical approaches that flat Earth is designed by the evolutionists to try and make creationists look stupid and call us science deniers. And so, right, that's just the ultimate fear. We don't want to look stupid and be counter science. And a lot of the article is talking about, is the Bible and science is the Bible and science contradictory? Are they compatible? And it's weird now to be reading some of these things and recognize that these were some of the things that I believed myself for many years. And of course, at this point, have had to rethink a lot of things, a lot of these assumptions about the Christian roots and foundations of so much of what we call science. And it's just all about worldview. And this article is really telling. I think it's really poignant because it does highlight what really is the bigger issue here. Because they're encountering it all in terms of, well, this is conspiracy. It's conspiracy theory, and these are just crazy people who are, they don't know science, they don't know the Bible, they're believing lies, coming up with all these half-baked arguments. And then they of course even go into the whole routine of, the conspiracy theorist mindset, and which is essentially accusing people of needing to feel special, needing to feel like they know more than everyone, so everything becomes a conspiracy. And I've lost count of how many times you hear this from people who just balk at the idea that something could be such a large deception. And of course they make all those usual claims about how, if this was a deception, then everyone would have to be in on it, and thousands of people at NASA and the airline industry, and all of these same strawman arguments that are just not true any more than it's true about evolution, which is interesting because they get into that too. And again, you see people slowly backing themselves into a corner, having to defend. Now they are literally coming out and defending why evolution it's not a conspiracy theory per se, it's just a false belief because they believe in naturalism, right? Which I find ironic because the more I listen to these mainstream creationists, it's really, you believe in naturalism just as much, you just choose not to label it as such. You just say God caused the naturalism, but after that he had hands off and it's all natural. It's a deistic approach to naturalistic science. But anyways, yeah, the conspiracy theorist mindset. And really, for me, I read this and it does light a fire under my butt. It does kind of fire me up because, yeah, that's where the line in the sand is really being drawn. I'm sorry. And here we are in 2017. It's one thing if we're talking about 1972 and you're believing in grainy black and white pictures of, supposed moon landings, and they're sticking a fake American flag and some moon dust on a film set and you believe it's real. But we're literally now at the point where they're claiming to fly these probes through plumes. I mean, if you just listen, I don't know how many times when you're listening to just an average NASA press conference, an hour-long press conference, how many times do they mention evolution? Not just biological evolution, but the evolution they're talking about the whole evolution of the planet. Everything that they're saying here is talking about gradual change, evolutionary processes on a chemical and geological level. And they're just applying the same things they believe about the Earth and about the sun and about the stars. It's all interconnected. You can't. So it's amazing to me because now it makes me really want to understand how these, mainstream creation ministries are going to try and explain this. The closer that they get to, what happens when they actually come out and say, "Yep, here we go. We've found microbial biological life on some moon." because that's basically what this is all being set up for, and it's patently obvious at this point. And if you want to believe that all these probes are real and all these missions are really collecting real data from real planets and they're really in our real solar system, but then you're just gonna like hit the brakes and when they actually claim to find biological life in some cloud or underneath the surface of some icy ocean world, some primordial ocean, basically, that's what they're talking about, is they've found, they're claiming to have basically be finding worlds that are, in the stages that Earth was in millions of years ago. So for these creation ministries to be denouncing old Earth creationism and denouncing evolution and all these things, and yet you're believing everything that these scientists are saying from NASA and just believing that all the science is valid and all the data is real. What's going to happen when they get to that point and they say, yep, we found biological life right here in our own solar system? And the whole world goes, yep, see, look, biological evolution has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. We have the samples now. What are they going to do at that point? Are you going to have to concede and say, well, the only reason I would have to doubt this is that if it was just made up? They're going to fake it at some point. It's hard because when you're at this point where you just look at this, you look at these images, like, oh, look, they pointed Hubble at Enceladus and Europa. Look at these are the plumes, right? This is a big thing of what they're talking about, is how all the liquid water that's supposedly underneath the frozen surface, that is causing cracks in that ice, and then it's being injected out into space. And they're actually claiming to take pictures of it, and people look at this and believe it's real. And it astounds me. It's all about evolution, biological evolution. And so at some point you're going to have to draw that line, and honestly, I don't know if they're prepared to do that anymore. We're living in a time where they're laying the groundwork to roll this out like very, very soon. And of course, I'm not saying that I expect them to claim to discover aliens that are like, maybe who knows? Maybe they will claim it'll be like The Abyss, James Cameron's movie from the 90s with the aliens that were the underwater aliens, and maybe they're living under there this whole time. I kind of doubt it, though. But it doesn't matter. It's all part of the same narrative that's been going on since the beginning of NASA. You can watch old footage from the 50s, from before the moon landings, and they're showing pictures that are supposed to be from space, and they're talking about life from other worlds. They've been talking about it since the very beginning. It's what it's always been about. It's all part of the evolutionary paradigm. But it's not even just limited to this issue. If you can believe that evolution is false, or claim to believe it, but you're still trying to marry it with all this worldly science, all this fake pseudoscience, and so you refuse to believe that conspiracy could happen and that they could actually fake seemingly harmless things like men bouncing around on wires in some fake space station, then yeah, you're blind to everything else. You're going to continue to be blind to every fake terrorist attack and very fake news broadcast and everything that's being manipulated around. And it's just, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the blindness. I'm just sick of this pompous American evangelical head in the sand, pretend like it's all leave it to Beaver, God bless America idiocy. I'm sorry. And on the one hand, yeah, I know these guys are getting a lot of hate, and I feel compelled to tell anyone who's listening to this that please try to refrain from just spewing hate and accusations and judgmental comments. And I get it, but you have to speak in love and with self-control and try and make cogent, intelligent arguments, because like they said, the Bible is based on sound reasoning and sound thinking, and not just emotionalism and getting whipped up into a fervor. And I know there's a lot of people, and that's all they see, and it makes it all too easy for them to just turn to that and use that as an excuse. So, on the one hand, it's crazy because I see this continuing to grow, and based on all these reactions from from people, it's not going away, and it's just expanding. But and the reason is because NASA's really doing the work for us. I mean, every time they put out this nonsense, it only goes to show like how ridiculous the whole thing is. What it's all, and for the people that are willing to see that it's just all about evolution from beginning to end, I don't know how you see anything else, but they're trying to say that this is all glorifying God. When in the end, all it does from the official channels is preach evolution, preach the evolution of man. It is a spiritual message at the end of the day. It's completely contrary to the Bible. And again, like, why? Even if we don't get to the point of them claiming microbes, the existence of alien microbes on one of these moons, why did God create all the? If you're just going to claim that they're empty, dead moons with oceans on them, why did God create all that? Why did he create a vast universe that is totally empty? You're giving credence to a logical paradox that in the end has led so many people to eventually embracing evolution. All your attempts to take Copernican astronomy and fit it into a biblical mold does not work at the end of the day. And I listen to these people, I listen to the testimonies over and over again. Because you're not willing to take a stand. You're not willing to really believe that the world is controlled by the devil. You're not really willing to believe that the world you live in, the society, the kingdoms of this world, not the creation, but the civilization that we all live in, is not of God. That is the line. This is not God's civilization. Western society is not God's tool. America is not God's instrument of divine anything. It was created by the enemy. Washington, D.C. is a capital full of occult symbols and pagan temples, and it's right in your frickin' face. They put it right in your frickin' face, and you close your eyes and plug your ears and continue to argue on their behalf and drag the words of God through the mud. I can't stand it anymore.